The Dolor Factor is sponsored by Ladera, a romantic paradise. Lime, value every moment. Illuminous, your transformation begins here. Rituals, grounds for enjoyment. And supported by the Cultural Development Foundation, Creativity, Culture, Community.
When you see someone around town, near a shopping mall, nicely dressed with a money box in their hands, asking for money to help others, how likely are you to make a donation? What type of cause would make you make a donation? A cause helping the young, the old, the mentally disabled? Single parents wanting assistance? Well, my guest today stood outside a shopping mall and many other places for quite a while. People saw him nicely dressed time and time again. But yet they wouldn't make a contribution to something he felt so strongly about, that he makes time to try to help others. Many times we help others when someone close to us has suffered from that cause, not my guest. He simply wants to help those who request it. Haven't you ever been down on your luck through no fault of your own? Wouldn't you have liked a helping hand? Instead, most of us received criticism or people telling us what to do instead of asking us, what have we done and what can we now do to help? Actions always speak louder than words. Stay with us as we discuss why we should listen, not judge, and try to help others who try to help worthwhile causes like my guest, Earl Augustine.
As an entertainer, I have seen many wonderful places around the world, but my favorite is Ladera Resort. Ladera is my favorite place to be, but the reasons why are difficult to put into words. Ladera itself is a mystical place that stimulates unforgettable memories in a setting that awakens your passion for nature and evokes romance. This is a place for rest and relaxation, recreation, and even recreation. I usually go to Ladera for a brief escape from the everyday, but I always leave revitalized and inspired. If you ever imagine what it is like in heaven, I believe you will get a glimpse of it at Ladera Resort. Ladera. There is nowhere else quite like it.
Hello, I'm Delia Dolor. Welcome once again to Ladera Resort. Of course, I'm at Paradise Ridge. Ladera is a romantic paradise, and you can see why. I'm very excited about today's show because many times we see people come and go and we don't know what's happened in between. So it's always nice when I get someone back who came to the show with some news and then they come back and they say to us, there was the news then, here is the news now, so much has happened. And this is the case when I speak to Earl. Earl Augustine, thank you so much for being back with us.
You're most welcome, Delia. I made myself at home. I'm already familiarized with your show, and thank you for having me here.
What do you think of Ladera? Is this the first time you're at Paradise Ridge?
It's my first time, and I've heard of it. Imagine, I've heard it over in England. While I was in England, I saw it, and now I have a really feeling why people say paradise. Yeah.
It's great, isn't it?
It's very great, and the atmosphere is very nice here. Although we have a little overcast, but I feel very comfortable.
Okay,
and
good.
Very, you know.
And you're proud to be living in St. Lucia.
Yeah, I'm proud to be back home after such a time over now, and I'm getting all the fun in it. And certain places I didn't have opportunity to go. Here am I again,
Good.
St. Lucia.
Yeah. And you know, one of the many things that I admire about you is that you're coming home and you spend a lot of your time helping others more than you help yourself.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I said our last show, previous show, I said that I'm delegating the rest of my life. I'm 54 to the St. Lucian people, you know, because as going through my teenagers there, I had a tough time going through my teenagers. I didn't I was searching for identity. Now I know exactly what I need to do, and I'm giving part of my life back to this St. Lucia. And here am I.
Okay, well, let's tell the rest of the world, because we're not only in St. Lucia. I'm not sure if you're aware that now we're on Carivision as well as Choice TV.
Yes.
So with Choice TV, we're in St. Lucia, we're in St. Vincent, but with Carivision, we are all across the Caribbean and parts of the United States. So let's inform our viewers more about who you are, what you do, and exactly what you're doing right now. So let's start from the beginning. So where were you born? Tell us something about your family and your upbringing.
Okay, my name is Earl Augustine. Okay, I was born in Castries, Victoria Hospital. And growing up, my father moved during the time in the early 70s. He moved on to Vieux-Fort, which is called Opicon. We spoiled a piece of land. My father was a pastor, a builder, which we built a church. It was called the New Pentecostal Church of God. I could recall growing up. My father was a left-hander playing guitars in church, and I would attend church singing, you know. And after we moved from the Vieux-Fort area, we moved to Opicon, which my father got a piece of land in Opicon. And while growing up, I worked after school. I went to Plainview School and also senior secondary. And while growing up, I was a very sportive guy. I always loved sports, football and cricket. I was good at football. And I always liked football, very sportive growing up. And I was a little skinny guy, you know, growing up. And, you know, growing up with as a youth, usually we don't know our identity, you know. So I've been going wrong bandwagon and growing up, you know. And then while growing up, I worked with my first job after I left school was with Liat. I worked 5 years as a mechanical engineer in the 70s. And growing up, I wanted to know more of the world. I always attend church with my father. My father was very strict. His name is Mr. Bernard Charles. Unfortunately, he already passed. And my mother also. And my mother was a restaurant lady. She's called Mabinard from Beaufort. Everybody knows her. She was the original I took partner on, that she used to assist in the community. Lots of kids growing up. She, as a matter of fact, she had 14 kids growing up, and after she passed, she had such a great, everybody came to the funeral and praised her. I never knew my mother had so much fame, you know. So that inspired me, you know. And while after growing up, I got married to an English lady. I left to go to England, where Originate Caribaid was started. And we had so much passion, my wife and I, to do for the poor. So she told me, "Oh, you were brought up in a Christian home. Why don't you continue to do for the poor?" And I said, "Yes, I feel that's my passion." But I wasn't ready into it. But after, well, she put me into it. I continue. We live in Croydon.
You lived in Croydon?
Yeah, we live in Croydon for a while. We attended the Porterhouse Church, and then that's where I really saw my passion of it, that I need to do something for. In Croydon, we used to go to house to house. We had some street meetings, you know, and then some music out, and that's where I already got my passion of helping the poor, you know. So I used to go to house, meet people on the streets and take them out, bring them to church, you know, and then that's where my passion really got for.
Okay. Now you mentioned Caribaid. What actually is it?
Okay, Caribaid is a non-profit organization which consists. We have 2 units. We have a social welfare, which assists single mothers, and the other one is a paramilitary for a boot camp. And the boot camp is directed by one of my friends, Howard Earl. He was the one in charge of boot camp. But I was more passionate to social welfare, to deal with single mothers. Our objective for single mothers is to build this daycare centers all over the island where it's needed. We make it possible that these young mothers, they could have a place to put the babies, because in St. Lucia and some third world, as we call a third world country, lots of young mothers, when they have a baby, they don't have a place. So means the education will stop. They don't have opportunity to go back. And lots of them have a lot of potential. And because of they made mistake, and there's lots who made genuine mistake. So we make it possible by rendering them a service that they could have a place to keep the kids. At the end of the day, we provide them with lunch, we provide them with transportation, all through the public donate us because we are non-profit. We deal with the public. We raise up funds. We also do flea markets. We also have car wash. Lots of different activities that we could go. Now, yes, since after then, we also, while I was on your last show, I spoke out to the people, I plead to the public to have us, and it was your idea. I planned that I needed to have build a daycare center. It was your idea. To me, why don't we rent a place? So somebody saw me in the Denver area, and they said, okay, we have a place. Okay, so why don't you use your place and we could renovate it and assist us, you know?
Wow, that is wonderful. There's so much more that I do need to talk to you about, including why looking after young children. There must be a reason, but that's a much longer story. So I'm going to take the break now, and when we come back, that's where I want us to head. But very briefly, can you tell me, what is your ultimate aim? When people are watching the show now, what would you like them to think or do?
My aim is to have how much constituencies we have in St. Lucia? We have about 11 districts. Okay, I need to have a daycare center at every place where it's possible. And a lot of different activities.
I have to say, your passion is just amazing. Because I asked you, what would you like our viewers to think? What would you like them to perhaps do in terms of help support? And what do? You answer back saying what it is you're going to do. Just typically always thinking about helping. This is the Dolor Factor. Please stay with us. We'll be back soon. How would you like to win a lovely beauty treatment? I mean, look at my skin, isn't it wonderful? Well, Illuminous at Rodney Bay, they say if you can name 3 of their treatments, you can get a wonderful facial. It's as easy as that. Just name 3 of their facial treatments and you will win one of them. Send your answers to giveaways@dolorfactor.com. You can do that by the 5th of February and we'll tell you who's won by the 15th of February. Good luck.